Welcome to Essential Ingredients, powered by Next Gen Purpose. EI serves up thoughtful conversations with industry leaders and pioneers who support a regenerative future for our food system. The stories shared by our guests are meant to spark curiosity and inspire informed global change. Welcome to Essential Ingredients. I'm your host, Justine Reichman. Today with me is Jason Bronstad. He is the CEO and people leader of Malk. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you so much, Justine, for this opportunity. I'm excited to chat with you.
I'm excited too. Even in the last few minutes, just chatting with you, it's been great. I'm excited for our audience and our listeners to get to know you and learn a little bit more about Malk. Malk is a plant-based milk, and I know there's a lot of them, but I know Malk is different and unique. And I'd love for you to just talk to us a little bit about it so that our viewers, our listeners know what we're talking about here and who we're talking to here.
Absolutely. So I'll start a little bit with the company. We are proudly between 3 and 5 ingredients in our plant-based milks. But one of the things that we're focused on is ensuring that people have access to high quality, clean ingredient products. And, in my personal journey, it's been an evolution over time. If you were to talk to me 3 or 4 years ago, I was 100 pounds heavier. And, I waited till later in life to make some healthy choices. And the moment became when I realized that the choices that I were making, my children were reflecting. And I wanted to start that transition and make healthier life choices. And one of the things we found is we're trying new and different products is they just didn't taste great. There's a lot of them out there that don't taste great. They're clean. So here at Malk, we believe that great tasting, clean ingredients is really the path to adoption. So we're super proud to produce clean ingredient products that taste great as well, that can be adopted into someone's healthy lifestyle.
And what's more empowering than that?
Exactly.
Both for you and for your consumer. There's a lot of choices out there in plant-based milk. And I know that there's a lot of claims that people make, and people are told about plant-based milks in general, and people grab onto the idea of a plant-based milk, and we don't necessarily know what's in them and why we should choose one over another. So can you talk to me a little bit about some of, and I'm not trying to, hang anyone out to dry. That's not my goal. Yeah. The goal really is to better understand what people are putting in these and why you're able to put fewer ingredients in yours and make it a good product that people can have and enjoy and use in their cereals or use in their coffee, and how it works.
And their milkshakes.
And their milkshakes. Oh, I like that.
That's my daughter's favorite, is her milkshakes in the morning. So with Malk, we pride ourselves starting with organic ingredients, and organic is such a small portion of the overall agricultural output. And there's such high standards with organic to ensure that there's not the pesticides and all the other potential chemicals that could be introduced to almonds and oats. So we start with organic first and foremost, then we ensure we're glyphosate free, ensure all of the proper protocols and processes are there. So when we have the cleanest ingredient and we go to transform it into the milk, that it's something that's going to taste great. It's addition by subtraction. We get rid of everything else. And it's just 3 simple ingredients in our unsweetened almond milk, and it's 3 simple ingredients in our original oat milk. With our vanilla, we simply add organic vanilla extract. And then we're excited. We're launching, just launched recently, is our chocolate oat as well. And that only has 5 ingredients. So as we expand our product offering, it's with the mindset of it's organic, it's clean, it's simple, and it tastes good.
So, that sounds to me very straightforward, and it sounds like a no-brainer almost. And when I hear about all these other brands that have so many more ingredients, things that I can't pronounce, and oils, why was there a need to put all those ingredients in that product? Or why could we speculate? Because we don't know, why anybody creates anything. So why could we speculate that they would do that?
It's economies of scale. How much can I produce? What's the cost efficiencies? With Malk, we proudly were founded and started with the mindset of we want to produce what's best for our family and then scale it up for the masses. And we've stuck with that ethos the entire time as we've grown over the last 7 years as an organization. And other companies, there's a lot of companies out there. There's a lot of companies working to bring people into the plant-based space. And, they might have shareholders that they have to report to. There's decisions that are made that are not based on the ethos of, I want it to be as if I would make it for my family so I can share it with yours.
Right, that I understand that. I mean, and so, I mean, a lot of this can be controlled by the finances behind it, the shareholders, how to make the dollar stretch.
Mhm.
And so they lose the integrity. I mean, I know that's a strong word, right? As I'm saying, and I'm cringing, but I mean, the integrity of the product to some extent. And it's like any company that decides to take money, you have less control over what you're doing. Um, but I guess Malk is still private, so you maintain the choice there on what you're putting in there.
Absolutely. We have an incredibly supportive board of directors that are aligned with our mission, vision, and values, and believe, just like I do, that this is a brand that needs to be accessible to Americans everywhere. And that's really the mission, is to expand our offerings to the grocery store nearest you. And today it's not.
And how has cost been a challenge with, for you, to make it as well as to offer it at a reasonable price so that, the masses can have access to this?
That's the biggest challenge we have. I mean, you look at what's going on you can look at freight and warehousing alone, with diesel costs skyrocketing, the cost to produce, within farms skyrocketing based on all the input costs, especially for organic. And one thing I don't know if consumers necessarily appreciate, when a farmer plants an organic field, the yield just will not be as high as one that he can go fertilize. So
Mhm.
the fertilizer is going to go multiply the production. So the organic, the clean nature of that field is just not going to produce as much. So the benefit for the farmer is they get to charge a higher price. But the real benefit is when I put that inside of a bottle of Malk and I sell it to you, I can say it is organic, it is clean, it is simple, and you can trust us.
And I think that that's beautiful and that's amazing because I myself love when I can look at whatever I'm eating or drinking and look at the ingredients and say, okay, I know everything that's in here. There's nothing in here I don't want. So often I find sugar or some sort of something or other that it has to keep it together. And to me, that's not an interest. I'm not interested in that. I want something that I know everything that's in it, almost like I could make it myself, but I'm just choosing not to at the moment, because I have construction or because I'm busy, or but I want it as clean and as healthy as if I got it myself out of the garden, or because making oat milk and hemp milk and almond milk is tedious and time consuming. And the when I look at yours or I look at somebody else that has a 3 ingredient product, as we were just talking about good milk,
Mhm.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on comparing yourself to some of these other plant-based milks that are fewer ingredients, and how you see them and how you see yourselves together in the space.
Absolutely. And the beautiful thing is, as other brands are taking the same path we are, that's better for consumers all across the world. There's a gold standard in the European continent with labeling and simple ingredients. And I think that as more brands enter into this space, that provides each and every single one of our consumers, our children, the next generation, and we can start to educate them and say, hey, this is important. You know what? I'm going to skip the drive-through coffee this week, because instead of buying the cheapest version of the plant-based product, I'm going to buy the highest quality, because what we put inside of us is who we are.
Mhm.
So we want to make sure that we're putting the highest quality products inside of us and our children. So I welcome more people to come into the space. It's not easy. That's the thing that any entrepreneur, any startup company knows, is there's unequivocally going to be challenges. So we are proud to be leading the way in this space.
Yeah, and as an entrepreneur and as a somebody in a startup, we have lots of founders that listen to this show. And you've been in this space for a while now, and I know that this journey is not an easy journey. But I'm sure that you've had some experiences and maybe there's a story you could share that you look back on and it was pivotal for you. Maybe it pointed you in the wrong direction and it was the right turn. You didn't even realize it. But I'd love for you to maybe share something like that, that was a moment that took you to the next level?
Absolutely. So we were working on our rebrand and we were working on our formulation tweaks just to make sure we could deliver the best tasting. And working with our R&D partners, my mantra to them is I want the absolute best tasting vanilla product out on the market. So we developed a great tasting vanilla and we went out and we tasted it with consumers. And it scored amazingly well. When I launched it, we missed one caveat. We didn't go talk to our consumers. We talked to plant-based milk consumers. We didn't talk to our consumers. And the choice that I made, and it was a step in the wrong direction, but we quickly pivoted, is we did put organic natural flavors in there to really enhance and drive that vanilla flavor. And our malt consumers said, that's not what we want. We want clean, simple. We don't care if it tastes more vanilla-y. We want to know every single thing in there. And I am proud to say, from the day it hit retail to the day that the formulation without organic natural flavors and just the pure organic vanilla extract hit the market was less than 90 days. And that is a absolute tip of the hat to my operations team to be able to make it turn, get it approved by all of the agencies that are required to approve a new formulation and then have it out there available for consumers. And again, without the support of my board of directors, we literally made that decision within 3 days. And that's the beautiful thing about a startup.
Yeah.
You know what? We listened. Mea culpa. That was on me. That was a decision I made.
Right.
And, I went to my board and said, hey, there's going to be some significant costs in this transition. But it's the right thing to do. I messed up. I made a mistake. And we need to make this change to correct it. And I'm pleased to say, wild support as we got the new product out into the market.
Well, that's a great learning experience though, right? I mean, and you realized that immediately, like there was no time wasted.
You can't afford to in today's world.
You can't. But I think that that's a credit to you also to recognize that so quickly.
If we're not open and willing to admit failure, then we're not learning.
No. And I think failure is part of the journey too, frankly.
Absolutely.
I mean, we have to fail in order to get to the next place to learn what we really, failure is just part of creating.
Absolutely. I love that.
Failure is part of creating.
Yeah.
Right. So you have a couple products right now, right, that we discussed. Do you have any other new SKUs coming out on the horizon?
The chocolate oat is rolling out nationally right now. So that's the exciting one. We've got some other things that we're working on in the lab. But to your point, to create something that tastes so good with so minimal ingredients, just finding the right mixture is not that easy. No. So we're taking our time and doing the due diligence to make sure that what we launch is exactly what our consumers are looking for.
I think that's so important too. And especially since you had this learning experience that you went out and talked to all these other people who really were not necessarily your customer, right, but had interesting feedback, but they weren't your customer. So, I mean, so now if you go and you interview people, do you interview for the next thing? Are you interviewing your customers as well as new people?
Absolutely. So as we're talking, we're, engaging with our consumers. We started in the natural channel like a lot of organic brands do, and we've had some incredible support. We've been a global partner with Whole Foods for 4 years. We just last month went national with Sprouts, which is a huge win for us because that's part of our mission is to make it more easy for consumers to access Malk Organics. But as we engage with these consumers, it's that understanding. It's, what are you looking for? What are you seeking to understand? You'd referenced earlier one of the things, binders and fillers and oils and gums that really bind product together. So that's one thing with Malk. We have it proudly on the cap, shake your Malk well, because you want to make sure that you blend that up because there's natural settling. When you have 3 ingredients, I'm not going to put an emulsifier in there that makes it perfect for you. Shake it up. It's perfect. And, add it to your coffee, milk, or milkshakes.
I like that. So who came up with the milkshakes?
It's been something that's been floating around the company, and we're just trying to be louder and prouder about it.
I like it. When's your daughter going to do a video?
You know what? She is an aspiring chef. So her passion is cooking. She's 9.5 years old. So I think it's cooking and then swimming and then jujitsu. So she's got a wide variety of passions, but she should do a video for us.
I think she should do a video, something healthy that can show us how the milkshake works, what goes in the milkshake. Maybe she adds something special to it, and then she can share it on the Next Gen Purpose channel.
Oh, I love that.
Because we can, then we can share what's going on at Malk and let people know how to make their milkshakes.
Absolutely.
Right? And it starts at 9. I mean, you can't start too early.
Well, and the great thing, her little brother, my son who turned 6 this month, he tried the shake this morning. He's like, "That's a really good one." So he's a little leery from time to time. It's like, "What is sister making now?" And the coolest thing is just working to understand that whole foods can go into these shakes. So one time she added some fresh spinach to her milkshake, and she's like, "That made it. That fixed it, Dad. It wasn't good before the spinach."
That's so funny.
Yeah, that was a proud dad moment. Like, you just added spinach and said it fixed it.
Wow.
Yes.
So
We're
here's a
doing something
question
better.
for you. Do you ever go to the shops and like do taste samplers?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And do you take your daughter?
Yes.
Okay. So when I was her age, my father owned a non-dairy creamer company 100 years ago. It was called Perks Product. It was a kosher non-dairy creamer. I'm not even sure what it tasted like. You put it in coffee. And I used to give out coupons. So I'm like having a nostalgic moment as you're telling me this. And I'm like, I remember doing this with my dad in New York City on the corner of 23rd Street.
That's fantastic. That's awesome. I fear my daughter would be like, "All right, Dad, what's my salary? What's my pay rate for doing this?"
I probably would have said something similar. My pay rate probably would have been a Baskin and Robbins, which is probably a little taboo at this moment. But back then, a little rocky road on the corner. But now, she might try to get you to make some Malk cream or something.
It froths up amazing, and she actually puts it on the top of her acai bowls. That's one of her favorite tricks.
Yeah, you need to put all these tips out there so that people can now find all the different ways of using Malk.
That's it's one of the things we're working on.
Okay, well, I'm just got
I
lots of
love
ideas because I'm an outsider.
Keep bringing it. And that's what, the best thing that we can do every day is talk to someone new. And if you talk to someone new every day, you're going to learn something. And if you start to piece those somethings together, think about how much you learn talking to someone new every day.
I do all the time. I love it. And I love talking to new people that are building new businesses and coming up with new ideas because, really it's changing the future of food and how we think about it. And it's changing the planet and it's changing the accessibility and the way we think about what we're putting in our bodies, how we're giving back to the planet, what we're leaving for the future, and also our expectations around it, what we demand in terms of what we put in our body and what you're teaching your children about what they should expect so that when they're eating, they're demanding something a little bit better so that they can ask better questions. And I think it's brilliant. I mean,
asking the questions.
Your kids inspired you. I mean, how brilliant is that?
When you remove your ego and you sit back and you say, what is the most important thing I can do in life? And it's to give my children a solid foundation. That changes everything. It truly changes everything.
And I bet you're inspired every single day to do that.
100%.
So work is no longer that same. You look at it a little differently.
I'm a part of a group of men called Front Row Dads, and the motto is family men with businesses, not businessmen with families. And that motto really drives my behavior to make sure I'm fully present for my wife and for my kids. And the more present I am with them, the more successful and driven and productive I am at work. And I used to my ego is fed by my success at work, and I would slack at home. And when you start to flip that on its head and all of a sudden you prioritize your family, I used to be the guy, I had to be at work at 5 a.m., but I would never see my kids in the morning. I would only see them after work in the evenings. And by the end of the day, they were exhausted. And my wife would always tell me, but they're such amazing kids. And I'm like, they're exhausted. They're tired. They're yelling. They're screaming. I don't know who you're talking about. And that was a me problem. It wasn't a kid problem. It wasn't a wife problem. It was a me problem. and shifting the mindset. Now I still get up early, but I'll do
Right.
work at home. I'll spend an hour with them in the morning before school, before camps, before whatever they're doing. And I'm engaged and fully present, and then I'm back to work. And it changed my life.
And so how long have you been, sort of living this lifestyle, if you will, and
About three
thinking that
years. About 3 years, I've been doing my best to live the best engaged lifestyle I could.
that's so amazing? And what inspired that?
It's one of the things when you look at pictures and you're like, oh, wait, that's me. Oh, no, I've done it again. And, I've always had an unhealthy relationship with food historically, and my weight would just yo-yo up and down, up and down. And then when I realized the influence that my actions and the way I treated myself had on my children and the way they were acting, it's like, I can change this, or they can just become like me right now. And I said, it's time to change. It's time to start eating healthier. It's time to start doing more healthy activities. It's time to prioritize what's important. And that the mindset shift is just so important.
That's beautiful. And how did it impact your relationship with your family and your children?
Melissa and I just celebrated 17 years being married last month, and I can easily say that the last 3 have been the happiest 3, and she would agree with that. It's
That's
so awesome to be an engaged entrepreneur and a family man. Really, family man and entrepreneur is how I should say that.
that's so wonderful. That's so wonderful. And I would imagine that, that message for other entrepreneurs is so important to hear, because I'm sure you talk to other people in startups and they tell you that it's overwhelming and it's all encompassing. And to be with somebody in a startup can be really hard.
It's incredibly stressful.
And it's hard to balance.
It is
People,
impossible if you don't schedule it.
right. So I think that message, and not everybody's a family person, but the message is still there, right?
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to have 2 kids and et cetera to understand that you still need to prioritize and schedule and balance. And if you do that, you can have a better quality of life and be happier.
100%. And just, I love listening to podcasts, and, a lot of podcasts on the health environment is, if you stress your body proactively through workouts or heat exposure or cold exposure, it allows your body to absorb and process stress in a regular environment. So that's one of the things that I've realized is, through workout routines, through, either sauna or cold exposure routines that I, proactively put my body through, has helped me to deal with stresses at work. Things that would typically just send me over the edge. It's like, oh my goodness. And it's like, okay, take a deep breath. I need to go meditate for 10 minutes and just reflect on this and then come back. Entrepreneurs always feel like they have to have every answer and they've got to have it on the tip of your tongue. And the reality is, you don't.
It's true. I feel that way myself. I always feel like my knee-jerk reaction is I'm going to fix it. If you tell me something, my knee-jerk reaction is how can I fix that?
Yeah.
Whether it's personal or professional, it's my knee-jerk reaction to respond like that.
100%. And think about the mistakes that we make because we do that without pausing to think about it.
True. It's true. But I'm with you on the sauna. I have an infrared sauna I got a couple months ago. I got it in January.
It is awesome.
I love my infrared sauna.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I don't share this with everyone. I do take a couple, conference calls in there.
I haven't got there yet.
Oh yeah, it's no problem. You can even do Zoom in there. You just don't want to sweat while you're on Zoom.
I start sweating pretty fast, so I would not do a Zoom in there.
But I don't do the Zoom. I just do the calls, But Jason, this was a great call. I think you shared some amazing tips and insight into being both an entrepreneur, a family person, and your story on how you kicked off your company. And I'm so excited to try Malk when it arrives.
Oh, I'm excited it's coming in. And I was honored. So I didn't kick off. I'm not the original founder. I was brought in to help accelerate the company. So tip of the hat to the founding members of the organization, but I'm excited to have the reins to bring Malk to the masses.
Well, I think you guys are doing a great job. I'm excited to try it. And I think that it's just a great space to be in. And I think what's really what really tests the space is that there's a lot going on in the space. And I think what's most important is that we can ask the right questions, because what's going on in the space is there are fillers and there are other things that make these things unhealthier than things we were eating before. So my quest, my goal is to really bring people on so we can learn about what it is to eat and in these spaces and cook in these spaces and build in these spaces in a way that is more informed and better for our health and better for the environment. So I'm so appreciative to you for helping us tell a little bit about that story and why 3 ingredients or 4 ingredients is so important and why you guys chose to do that.
Justine, thank you so much. I mean, Malk is really about making sure people go and turn it around. Go look at the ingredients. Go look in your pantry. Go look in your fridge. Turn it around and see what you're actually consuming.
Thanks, Jason.
Justine, we will have a wonderful day.
If anybody wanted to get in touch with you and talk further, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I'm in LinkedIn, Jason Bronstad, the only one there. For the brand, it's Malk Organics. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. So you can find us there.
Wonderful. So for those of you listening and watching, don't forget to rate and review on Essential Ingredients. We're here every Tuesday, and we want to thank you as always for joining us. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Justine.
To learn more about these episodes and access show notes, go to nextgenpurpose.com and choose podcast. If you like this episode, head to Apple Podcasts or your favorite platform to subscribe and leave us a review. Visit the Next Gen Purpose YouTube channel to subscribe to our EI videocast and give this episode a like while you're there. Follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn at Next Gen Purpose, and connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram at Justine_Reichman. Thanks for joining us.